Hello everyone, this is Josh, and in this video I'm going to be taking apart and cleaning up this old jointer that my dad dropped off. It used to be my papa's. It's a Rockwell 3720. As you can see, it just has um, a lot of rust covering it, as well as a bunch of caked on sawdust. Overall, the machine is in working condition, though there are some things that need to be repaired that you'll probably see in the coming videos. Things like the blades need to be replaced. There's nicks in two of them. One is decent, but still kind of old. So I'll be buying a cheap pair from Amazon for about 25 bucks, and I'll replace them with something more substantial once I use it more often. And as I said, this is a 37 220 model. It was built in Canada. I've seen some models online with the same identifiers and very similar setup. It seems that they mainly changed the base of the machine um, for different models, so you'll see the same top but different bases. While looking at these knobs, I figured one was missing. Later, after seeing some online pictures, I think it's supposed to be this way. One's for the outfeed table. These different components are just all a bit rusty and just need to be cleaned up. Might do some electroplating on them. Notice the bolts here are sticking out. Those I'll be flipping on the inside. And of course you can see a lot of this rust on the tabletop here. It's not too thick, but it does need a lot of sanding. And here's when I got it off the base. You can see just a lot of grime. It's a lot of condensed sawdust caked all over the motor. It ran fine, even with all this junk over it, but it'll definitely be nice to get all this gunk out. When I do clean it up, I'll be taking off the capacitor, taking off that cap there, and checking that that's all good. It should be because it starts fine. The cable for this is a bit iffy. It's missing a cap here. But this isn't too much of a problem because this isn't where the power comes from, it's where it goes in, and it's covered when plugged in. But I am going to replace it. There's some tape all over it that needs to be replaced. And here the wire goes up and is zip tied, and it has a switch box. I'll be opening that up and making sure it's all safe, but I'm going to want to replace this with some kind of safety switch in the future. The chute for sawdust and chips is just riveted to the top, and it's a bit bent up at the bottom, so I'll be straightening that out as much as I can, probably bolting it back on instead of rivets. You can see that there's some rust and caked up sawdust underneath the bed, but overall it's not too bad. You can see a lot of buildup in the lead screws. They definitely need to be cleaned up. They were very difficult to move. Um, I'm using WD-40 to move them back and forth, but even with that, it was a struggle. And there's other reasons for that, like the table being over tightened and some other things. Another view of the blades, just you can see how much rust is on there. And here we have the fence components along with the fence. So it's rust also, just like the tabletop. It's not too bad. Some of these components are quite rusty. The slots that these go into are very rusty. Um, I'm going to paint some of these and electroplate other ones. Here's the pulley for the blades, and here's a top view of after I got the tables off and how much gunk is underneath. I had to take out the lead screws and all the components to get that apart, and just laying out all the parts on the ground. This is my first initial clean of it. Just went over it with some dish soap and water. Obviously that's not too good for the rust, but it's going to get a lot of the grease off. And here's my hacky electroplating setup. I'm using a 12-volt car battery charger. I've got some nickel juice that I made in the past and some nickel plates. And here's just some bolts being plated with nickel. And here's a picture of one of the fence components plated. And here's a before and after of the blades. I basically did some wire brush, then some light sanding. It didn't take much to get to this state. A lot of it was just caked on sawdust. And you can see the old blade there. I didn't clean it up because I'm not using it. The new blade is on the left, and I'll be putting those in. And here is the chute being straightened. I couldn't get that bump out, but it's not a big deal. And here's the tabletops after some light sanding, Scotch Brite, WD-40, elbow grease. I'll be doing them again before I put the wax on, just to give them a final sand. Alright, here's a before and after of the paint. I used this Rust-Oleum hammered silver I got from Canadian Tire, and it's about 25 bucks or so, and it gives this um, hammered look, and it goes on really thick, dries really fast. Um, it's easy to use. It does smell quite a bit, but it's definitely interesting, and it gave it an interesting look. I only put one coat on here and a very thin one, but you're actually supposed to put it on thicker. Um, the other parts I put on much more thicker, and you will see them in the paint ripping video. So here is a before and after, just pulling off the tape. I should have taken a picture of all the parts laid out like this in their um, pre-painted state, but I didn't. So they're all painted now, and I'm gonna just do an outro here with some shaky cam of fast paint ripping. So this is just sped up. In the coming videos, I'm going to be assembling each component. I think I'll be doing probably 4 parts where I put together the base, then I put together the tables, and I talk about how the mechanisms work, how the lead screws work, how it lifts them up and down. Um, then, putting the blades together, assembling it completely, um, talking about the blade guard. I cut my own, but I think my dad said that he has it somewhere at home, so I'll probably pick that up from him next time I visit. And then eventually I'll have a video of just using it and showing it in totality, complete it. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with how the paint came off. It's not a professional job, but it looks better than it did in my opinion. And some of these over spray parts look a bit bad close up, but overall, you won't notice it when it's standing there. Thank you for watching.